At the end of 1988, there was a spate of break-ins on the Isle of Wight. It was hardly major crime, but the island is a small place, and gossip about the culprits soon reached the ears of the police. But when guns went missing too, the police began to step up their inquiry.
As you can see, basically they've been working on all these burglaries down at Cowes.
Yeah.
And it would appear now that they've identified a possible suspect by the name of Flanagan, running with a few other characters down there. But I think the stage has been reached now where really it's getting beyond just the way they're doing it, and they need a bit more resources put in here to try and dig into this.
But what evidence is there?
Well, haven't got much on forensics so far. We haven't been able to recover any property either, but from our observation we've done so far, they're moving around late at night. So I think if we continue our surveillance through a 24-hour period, we might be able to catch them on a job.
We can't afford to do 24-hour surveillance on him.
Well, how can we go with it at the moment?
Well, I think you can only just carry on as you are.
Okay.
Then, at a hotel called Calvert's, came a crime which was in quite a different league.
Papa 50 Zulu 1, they're just confirming armed robbery, believed between 2 to 3 persons, no ID over.
Two men came in, one with a gun, and forced me into reception. They forced me into the chair. My hands tied tightly behind my back. A polythene bag was placed over my head, taped at the back. I couldn't breathe. I'm gasping. And then a gun is placed in my mouth.
This was an unusual crime for the island. It was serious. It was an armed robbery involving guns, people getting tied up. Not the sort of crime that we expect on the island. It's an island community, it's a holiday community. We get quite a bit of petty crime, burglaries, but we don't get armed robberies. So this really stood out as a serious crime, and as such caused a lot of feeling in the community and did give us a lot of feedback as to what was behind it or who could be responsible.
Whilst they were opening the safe, I could hear the conversation. Gentleman speaking. A Scotch accent whose name apparently was John.
Just over 2 weeks later, police in Cowes were summoned to yet another break-in. They found the burglary had been abandoned, and they began to search the area.
That's Flanagan's car.
Yeah, they can't be that far away, Stu.
Go on, have a look round.
Stuart, there's a Bryson bit.
OK, Graham, just mark it, and we'll get the other lads to come round. We'll carry on searching.
OK. There's Flanagan.
Stand still, gents, police officer with the dogs! Stand still! Stand still, Flanagan! Good boy, leave! Digger, leave! 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 Heel! Heel! Heel!
Next morning, now with evidence on Flanagan, police decided to search for property that could link him to the burglaries that happened before Christmas.
Hello, I've got a warrant here for the search of your premises. We believe there's stolen goods in here. Can we come in?
I suppose so.
Repeating Alpha 423 Sierra.
They found stolen property, all right, and police suspicions about Stephen Flanagan's links with more serious crime were fueled by a mass of documents and notebooks.
The house search has been done. We've got some good stuff from that, which Dave can fill you in about.
We've got diaries, we've got address books, we've got phone numbers. I've had a quick spin through them, and we're talking contacts all over the country.
That's interesting.
Flanagan's situation seems to be a lot bigger than we thought. There's even information coming in now that he's been up to something, posing as a policeman or something on the mainland. we've had information come through as well that he's one of those responsible for Calverts.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, if it's right, we're really into something, which is what we thought may be there. And really, we're back here today to try and encourage you to give us a chance to go for it.
What are you asking for, Dave? What do you need?
I think we need Nick and Stuart written off on this now to follow it through. I'd like to start a team on this and let's really give it a go.
Well, it sounds pretty good to me. Let's go for it.
Past 3 this afternoon.
Nick,
Just want a short.
can you jack up a couple of statements for us on identification of some recovered property?
Yeah, no problem. This afternoon, all right?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Nigel, I've got a couple of
Nick
phone
and
numbers
Michelle
here.
will be later on
I
today.
wonder if you can run some subscriber checks for us.
Yeah, sure.
See who
no
they're
problem.
down to. Pick them up from some of the property that we've recovered.
The notebooks had yielded some 600 names, numbers or addresses. But what was their significance?
I wonder if you could do me a couple of telephone checks, please. Yeah? All right, first one's a Portsmouth number. You've got no record of that number. Yeah? Can I just give it you again? You try again for us, please. Yeah, okay, it's 550. Leon Solent number for me, please. Yeah? Yeah. Also, I'm sorry about this, but I have got a new key number as well I'd like you to try. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for trying anyway. Yeah, cheers. Bye. There were so many telephone numbers without either names or sometimes without STD codes that we were having to throw at British Telecom all sorts of numbers and part numbers, sometimes 50, 60 at a time. Even though they were very helpful, I got the feeling towards the end they were getting a bit tired of my voice on the phone.
Among Stephen Flanagan's possessions, they found receipts from a hotel in Bayswater in London.
Interesting. They show there's 3 people in single rooms, and they appear to be over a 2-day period. So as we got the information of them doing a job up in London, obviously we ought to go out there and have a look, perhaps. Okay.
All right.
Get an early ferry then.
Yes, I do remember those 3. They were very rude. Ah, yes, here we are, look. They stayed here on the night of January the 12th, and they all gave Isle of Wight addresses.
Did they give you any other names apart from these?
No, they're the only ones I've got.
Well, those names don't tie in with what we're looking for, but what about description?
Yeah. Can you describe them at all?
Oh, I can remember one quite distinctly. He was quite tall, about 6 foot, very broadly built, had ginger curly hair, in his 20s, quite good looking.
How about the others?
Not offhand.
Well, perhaps you could think about it for a moment. I'd like to take a statement from you if I can.
Sure.
Thank you.
That description's good. That could well have been Flanagan that she saw there.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Stephen Flanagan was eventually released on bail and quickly vanished. Just as Operation Trigger was beginning to produce results.
Or DAWOOD. Could you have a look at that for me, please?
One unusual name led to an even more unusual sequence of events. Dawood Murtala.
I'm not sure if it's our Darwood or not.
I'm just on the subscriber on the Bellevue and got a list of the people that stayed there, and one of them on that list is Dawood Murtala. Yeah. A bit of a coincidence.
Take it away.
Murtala's arrest was unusual. He'd borrowed a car from a girlfriend and was driving around in the Hyde Park area when he was involved in an accident. He then borrowed another car from a friend and continued driving around, this time in the King's Cross area.
They've come in. They've seen you.
Right.
I've stolen a car. You have to arrest me. It's gone. Smashed it up.
Where'd you stolen a car? You say?
Yeah, it's gone. It's not there anymore. It's really smashed up.
Was it the car you were driving?
I stole it.
Was it the car you were driving?
No. It's a white car.
A white car. Whereabouts is it now? Do you know?
I took the car, and it's by a man.
Well, Matala was arrested and taken into the local police station on suspicion of having stolen a motor car. At the police station, the chances are that on the information that was available, he would probably have been charged with nothing other than a minor offence.
Keys. Come on, everyone up this way. Come on. Oh, if you... In the cell.
No!
If you take the keys and... No. There you go. Here you go. Hey! See? He knew that I said when if you ask what I can I said when
Whilst in the cell, for some unknown reason, he decided to write a long confession on a toilet roll, of all things.
if she takes the keys.
It was a long and garbled confession, but basically he was stating that he'd been involved in a burglary at a sauna and massage parlour.
That break-in led almost miraculously from Darwood back to his associates. Someone seemed to think that the massage parlour owner, Janet Gale, still had a lot of money. For 2 weeks later, her block of flats had visitors.
I'll do the talking. All right. Can I help you? I wonder if you can. I'm Detective Sergeant Anderson. This is Detective Constable Henderson. We're investigating a fraud. Does Janet Gale live here?
No, there's no one of that name living here.
Obviously a bogus address they've given us.
Well, there is a woman who lives downstairs from me, but I haven't seen her since about October.
Can we speak in confidence?
Yeah.
It's a serious matter. She's wanted for an insurance fraud.
Well, I'm afraid I don't know anything about that.
I think there's narcotics involved. Yeah. We need more information, backup. Better report to base.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Nice to hear a Scots accent.
Aye.
Initially I was a bit suspicious from the way they went about things, and they mentioned the word narcotics. So I phoned Fulham Police Station and asked them to describe a warrant card, which they did, and it seemed to match the one that was flashed to me. I also mentioned the fact that they shook my hands, and the police officer at Fulham said, well, we like to be nice to our customers. So by this time I thought they were genuine policemen, and when they came back round in the evening I let them wait for Janet Gale in my flat. I even offered to make them coffee.
Do either of you take sugar? Oh, Christ.
This is real. You, sit over there.
Please.
Move, move.
Come
Mr.
on.
Blue.
Sit down.
Time up. Mr. Green, get a pillowcase.
Right, don't move. Please, look up.
Shut up. Are you expecting anyone? Don't turn round. Are you expecting anyone? Because you'll get hurt.
I thought that they may be the IRA, and after they started calling it themselves Mr. Brown, Mr. Blue, Mr. Black, etc. And I thought they'd soon discover they've got the wrong person and they'd go away.
What you looking at?
She's downstairs
Number
now.
9, all she wants is from Duran Duran. Come on.
A date, fine young cannibals, and she drives me crazy.
Number 7 this week from the Four Tops, Loco in Acapulco.
4-letter word in Crimewatch at 6.
This is 50 feet up, but they seem to enjoy bravado as much as stealing. They could have simply rung the downstairs doorbell.
Put your hands in your head. Come on, put them up. You don't look at me. You move back. Come on, move back. On. Where's the money? Where is it?
Money!
Where's the money?
Stop her!
No!
Come on, the missus about, where's the money?
The only money I've got is in my handbag.
Where's that?
I don't know, somewhere in the flat.
Mr. Blue, go and get it. Come on, Janet. We want more than the handbag. Where's the safe? Where is it?
It's over there!
It's a combination. What's the number?
Tell him.
I haven't found anything. I haven't found anything. What have you been doing? We haven't got all day. Keep looking.
Come on, Janet, get a move on!
Remember, just give me a moment, will you?
Do you want to get cut?
No!
Hurry up then!
Come on, get that thing open!
Don't mess!
You see, it's empty. You're too late. I was done 2 weeks ago.
Shit! Come on, get out of here! Come on!
Get on that bed!
Get on the bed! Face down!
Shut up!
Jesus. Here! Here, lads. I found it. There's a couple of grand in here.
Mr. Green, come on!
Well, Dave, you know, I'm sure you'll agree with me that even in London this day and age, that type robberies in people's home addresses is quite unique. And because of that, we've not got too far with our inquiries. We've certainly not identified the people at this stage.
They may well have stayed at the Leinster Hotel, which I understand is only about a mile away from your Fulham address. And it looks as though they've stayed there on the particular days of the robbery.
We've also had mention of a Scots John. Does that tie in at all?
Well, it does, because on both the robberies here, we've got this mention of a Scotsman. You know, the man who poses as the policeman. But as I say, I've got no further with trying to
we didn't have a lot of joy
find his identity.
As far as trying to tie somebody down called John with a soft Glaswegian accent goes, obviously it's a bit difficult. I've been in touch with the Strathclyde collator, who just rolls about laughing when you ask him, can you tell me how many robberies you got called John in Glasgow?
It's just hundreds.
So there's a lot more to do on that, yeah.
Yeah, OK, that's fine.
Yes, we've also got some information that they've been involved in other jobs, perhaps down in the West Country. We've got quite a few lines of inquiry to follow up there. Probably take us a week or two, so perhaps we can get back to you in a couple of weeks, have another meeting.
We can pull together what we've got at that stage. Maybe it will look more interesting.
Yes, right. Be great.
OK, lovely. It's been nice meeting you.
Back on the Isle of Wight, the Hampshire team turned up another name, this time with a phone number in Luton. They checked it through with Bedfordshire Police.
We've got a group of characters on the island involved in armed robberies, or so we believe. The main one of the group, as far as we know at the moment, is a bloke called Stephen Flanagan. Amongst some paperwork of his and his associates, there's an address book. We've got a name here. All it says is Hayden, Wellington Street, Luton, by the police station. I wonder if that name means anything to you. Yep. McFarlane, you say? Can you spell that for me, please? M-C-F-A-R-L-A-N-E. No mention of Flanagan on there. Yeah. The call to Luton, what it did with their system there was basically register our interest in Hayden McFarlane, and also that we thought he was associate of Stephen Flanagan. Luckily for us, the intelligence officer there, he made a record of this phone call, and we weren't to learn until much later what the consequences of that call were going to be.
In Luton, a local CID man, Paul Owens, had a meeting with one of his informants.
You know Aiden? He's been hanging around with this guy called Steve. He's from the Isle of Wight.
Sure it's not Andy?
No, Steve. He's kind of a big bloke. He's got reddish hair, freckles. He's been talking a lot about doing a lot of armed robberies.
In Luton?
All over the place.
Do you know where he hangs about?
Well, I saw him in a pub in the centre of town, but I haven't seen him since then. Tell you what, he drives a red Ford Sierra, and I think it's a C-Reg.
C-Reg? Haven't seen him about. You've got no idea where these robberies were in?
Not a clue.
Do you know if he's got a gun?
I don't know. But I do know he's very heavy, so I don't want to get involved in it, you know what I mean?
OK.
Listen, I tell you, if I get anything, I'll let you know, all right? I'll give you a call.
Other information came in that Hayden not only had a gun, but had used it to threaten someone.
The target for this morning's operation is a Hayden McFarlane, who we know is in Luton and believe may be armed. Now, we understand that Hayden McFarlane may be with a man called Steve. Inquiries with the Isle of Wight, Steve is a Stephen Flanagan, who is in fact suspected for armed robberies in the southern counties. It's our intention to enter the premises at 9 o'clock this morning and to effect the arrest of McFarlane and Flanagan. And I remind you they may be in possession of a firearm. We're going to use the operational support unit and firearms officers to effect entry to the premises.
Oh, police! Get your hands away from your body where I can see them! Move your hands away! Very slowly, move your feet round onto the floor. Keeping your hands away from your body, sit up in the bed. Again, keeping your hands away from your body, stand up. Now, very slowly, go down onto your knees.
DC Paul Owens was left behind, unarmed, to guard the house until a search team arrived.
Can I help you at all?
I don't know. I'm looking for Hayden and Andy. Are they here?
They're not around at the moment, no.
Oh, not here?
Are you a
Oh,
mate
right.
of theirs, then?
No, not really, no. Why are you? Do you know them?
Yes.
Could you give them a message for
They should
me?
be here in a moment. They won't hang around.
I haven't
You're
got...
from Luton yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm from London. I've got to go somewhere else, so...
How did you go out from London? It's quite a journey.
No, I didn't actually come from London. I came down from Scunthorpe.
From Scunthorpe?
Yeah, in my boyfriend's car.
You-
Look, I've just...
It's not the Sierra over there, is it, by any chance?
Yeah, it is actually. Why?
Well,
What's
it's
going
Steve.
on? Yes, Steve. What is this? What's going on? Where are they?
Hayden and Andy have been arrested. I'm a police officer. Is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem for me. I don't know these people.
Well, you were with them last night.
Last night I met them one night. Don't you believe me?
I'm going to get annoyed with that.
I'm not getting annoyed. I'm just telling you it's absolutely nothing to do with me. And I would like to go, and you're blocking my way.
Listen, at the end of the day, they've been arrested. You've been hanging around with them
So
lately,
what?
so you may be able to help us out.
I don't think so.
What's the problem?
There's no problem.
No problem.
No.
What's your name then?
Catherine Hall,
Catherine Hall. And where do you live, Catherine?
London.
Big place, London, isn't it?
It's a very big place.
How about an address then?
An address, okay? 54 Cobden House, Arlington Road, Camden, NW1, okay? Now can I go?
If you hang on a second, okay, I'll just check, make sure that you are
You don't
safe.
need to check. I've just told
Well,
you.
listen, what's the point getting annoyed? I've got a job to do. You appreciate that, don't you?
Fair enough, fair enough.
So if you hang on a couple of seconds,
Okay.
calm down, I'll just do a quick
I'm
check and you can
quite
be on
calm.
your way.
I am quite calm, thank you.
No problem.
It's nothing
I can't
to
see,
do.
I
This
can't
is
see the point of getting
ridiculous.
annoyed about it.
I'm getting annoyed.
I need your date of birth to do the check.
20th of the 10th, 64.
Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.
No problem. Yeah, Charlie Kilo 455.
455.
Yes, can I have a PNC body check, please?
Fresh details.
From speaking to lads on the Isle of Wight, I've been given a brief description of Catherine Simpson and the alias she used of Catherine Hall. When we carried out the raid in Wellington Street, Flanagan hadn't been in the premises, and obviously the fact that Catherine Simpson had turned up at the flat, I was aware and knew that Flanagan would be somewhere in the area. He had a gun, and obviously I was concerned. She's a white female, 5'6". Where were you born?
London.
She was born in London, huh?
Yes, they just confirmed Paul Catherine.
Okay. I gave you false details.
What are your proper details?
Catherine Simpson.
Friend of Stephen Flanagan? Gonna
Yes, girlfriend of Stephen Flanagan. It's absolutely nothing to do with me.
believe. Listen, Catherine. As a result of what I've been told, I believe you're involved in armed robberies in the Southern Counties area. I'm arresting you on suspicion of being involved in those robberies. Do you understand that?
I understand, but it's
Fine.
nothing
You don't have
to
to
do
say
with...
anything unless you wish to do so. What you
Fine,
say may be in evidence. Can you take your hands out of your pockets, please?
It's nothing to do with me. I am calm. I'm quite calm.
Fine,
What would you
take
be
your
like
hands
if you
out
were
of
being
your
arrested? Okay, fine.
Just go inside, yeah?
Okay,
Rather than
just
shout
back
and
off.
scream
Back
out.
off.
Andy, can I ask you just to...
Police in Luton gathered officers from the Isle of Wight, London and Scunthorpe to see how many crimes could now be linked together.
Very basic descriptions of the two offenders, and I believe the Isle of Wight may well have the identification of a person matching our description.
Yeah, we've been interested in some characters on the island for some time, and the information was that our people are involved in Calvert's, one being a bloke we refer to now as Scots John.
Do we know who Scots John is yet?
No, still not found him. Got a few addresses, but we've not got any names yet.
No, it's not been identified.
No.
Nick, you had dealings with the Red Funnel Offices robbery in Southampton. Can you detail those for us?
Yes, certainly. We did have specific information that Flanagan and Simpson were involved in the robbery. Those links we have there with the handgun and Flanagan, the tape used at Calvert's and actual documentation we found at Flanagan's address tied us in with the Fulham robbery that we've been speaking to Barry about.
I'm investigating a similar tie-up robbery at the Hyde Park West Hotel in West London, as well as a number of tie-up robberies at off-licences and betting shops, again throughout West London.
Right. Thanks, Barry. Paul, following the raid yesterday morning, you seized some property and also a Sierra. Can you detail what you found in it?
Yes, certainly. Full search has revealed, firstly, some blank shotgun cartridges, sets of handcuffs, oxyacetylene cutting equipment. Also found, of interest to my colleagues at Scunthorpe, will be some receipts that are quite recent.
Yes, I'm investigating 3 armed robberies at off-licences, all of which are similar MOs. There are 2 in Humberside, one of which is in Scunthorpe, and one in South Yorkshire at Doncaster. And the paperwork and the handcuffs found on the vehicle are an obvious connection with our jobs.
Thank you very much.
Well, Hayden, this robbery we're talking about, do you know anything about it?
No.
Fine. Do you know a bloke called Steve Flanagan?
Could do.
This man, Stephen, we believe he's involved in armed robberies. Do you know that?
No.
OK, let's try it another way. You ever been to Scunthorpe?
No.
You sure? Problem? Let's put it another way. You've been to Scunthorpe in the last 10 days?
I told you, I've never been to Scunthorpe. Ever.
You must have thought about something when your boyfriend goes out for 5 or 10 minutes and suddenly appears back with you with £200 or £300.
Look, I didn't even think about it. It never crossed my mind. He just went away and came back with some money and...
So where did all this money come from?
Look, I don't know where it came from. He just gave me the money and I accepted it.
Just accepted it blindly? You didn't think, where's this money come
Well,
from?
once or twice I may have done. I don't query money the same way as other people do who've worked for it all their lives. I mean, I've always had money. My parents have got money, my friends have got money, Stephen's got money.
Where do you think he's got that money from?
Look, I've no idea. Look, if your wife gave you £50, would you suddenly say, oh dear, this is probably stolen money because it's such a lot of money? I don't know. I just didn't ask any questions.
What would make you wonder on those odd occasions then? What would it be then?
Well, I may have thought once or twice. I may have thought this is unusual, but...
What was so unusual then that made you wonder once or twice?
Just, I don't know. Sometimes I just wondered once or
Then
twice.
why did you wonder on those once or twice
Because
occasions?
I just did. That's all.
But what made you? Why?
I don't know. I just once or twice I just thought about it, but it was only very occasionally.
You're trying to put yourself forward as a gullible young lady who's never been in trouble and is very innocent. But I know what I believe, I know what Eric believes, and I know what a jury would believe if they listened to this tape. You have ridden along on the crest of a wave with your boyfriend who's been committing armed robberies all over the country, and that's the truth of the matter, isn't it? Right, I'd like now to try and establish what you and Stephen have been doing for the last 3 weeks. Where were you 3 weeks ago, Catherine?
We were staying with a friend in Slough, God Road in Gadworth.
Who's that?
Just a friend.
To check the story, police drove down to the address that Catherine had given at Slough in Berkshire. A firearms team was put on standby in case of trouble.
Good morning, Mrs. Boyd.
Yes, that's right.
DC Clark from Farnborough CID. We're making some inquiries into some armed robberies that have taken place locally. Is Eddie about at all?
Eddie's away this week.
There's nothing to worry about concerning him. We basically need to speak to him through our inquiries. Anybody else in the house with you at all at the moment?
Only John. He's upstairs.
See, is there any chance I could pop in and have a word with him?
Yes, all right, come in.
Okay, check the lounge there. Good morning, DC Clark from Farnborough CID, investigating a series of armed robberies that have taken place in the south of England. Can you confirm with me that you were staying here on the weekend of the bank holiday just gone, the Easter bank holiday?
Yeah, I was. So what?
Were you staying here with a bloke called Stephen Flanagan?
Yeah, we were, but wait a minute, mate, you can't just come in here and start asking me questions.
I'm here lawfully. I've been invited in.
By who?
By your sister-in-law. And I've got some other questions I want to ask you. Was Catherine Simpson staying here as well?
Yeah, we're all here.
So all three of you were staying here?
Yeah.
And who are you?
John.
When he started speaking to me with a Scottish accent, I twigged, or thought this probably was Scots John, the man we were looking for. At this point, the heart started racing a bit, realising he was an armed robber. John who?
John Boyce.
Right, John, I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. I'm telling you, I'm arresting you on suspicion of conspiracy to rob. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. What you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
Aye. I did. Any chance of driving, no?
Hey? No, nah, not this time.
OK, John, we put certain offences to you that you've been able to help us with. Can you tell me some other offences off your own back?
If I can remember. Little Chef, Red Funnel, London, Seven Sisters. That's all I can remember.
And was it really just a case of trying to remember them all?
Yeah.
I mean, from our point of view, we're just trying to get a general idea as to what you've done.
I've been a silly bugger. Let's put it that way.
I mean, how many do you think we're talking about? 10, 20, 25?
Couple of dozen.
I was a little bit gobsmacked, to be honest. I've never seen a man sit there and admit so many serious offences, and to this day I've never figured out why he made so many confessions.
We've got a couple of things here that we haven't mentioned. The building societies in London and the TSB.
Well, the TSB, I did that one on my own.
When are we talking about? Is this after Calvert's Hotel in the Isle of Wight?
Yeah, it was.
What, after Fulham? Janet Gale?
Yep.
Where was the TSB?
London, Westbourne Grove. Just walked in and pulled out my gun.
You taking me down the station?
Detectives then visited Boyce's known associates.
Come on, don't be stupid. Look, I haven't done anything wrong. Look, I'm not going. Come on, don't be stupid. Don't hold me so tight, will ya?
I wouldn't do nothing like that.
Don't waste your breath, Nigel.
But I'm not. I've been going straight for a long while. It's just not.
Down at the nick of it.
I don't do that kind of job.
Hello, Dean. You know me, don't you? This is Detective Sergeant Stewart. Come to arrest you on suspicion of armed robbery at Fulham in London.
So now the whole gang was in custody, except the one they started out with, Stephen Flanagan, who'd jumped bail on the Isle of Wight. But then there was a stroke of luck. Quite independently, Scotland Yard had turned to Crimewatch. They'd been searching for an Irishman.
This man is being sought by London's flying squad officers. He's seen here in November in the nationwide Anglia Building Society in Haringey. The staff saw that he had a handgun tucked into his trouser waistband. He passed over a note demanding money, but the staff refused to give him any, and he left empty-handed. We think that the same man has committed 2 further armed robberies in London, the most recent.
It turned out that the Irishman was not an Irishman at all, but the man already held in Hampshire, Scots John. And there was more to come.
Following the Crimewatch photo call, we had a large number of telephone calls which confirmed the identity of Boyce, not only in our own inquiry, but extending it to other armed robberies in the south and southeast. It also gave us some information which we thought would lead to the arrest of his accomplice, Flanagan. But in order to protect our sources of information, I'm unable to describe how we tracked him down.
This is Dartmouth in Devon, 3 days after the Crimewatch programme.
Foxtrot 2 in position, loud and clear.
Foxtrot 3.
In position, loud and clear, Foxtrot 3.
Tango 1.
Tango 1 in position, loud and clear, over.
From Foxtrot Control, all radio checks completed. Over to OP1.
Foxtrot Control from OP1.
Receiving.
Yes, suspect vehicle has appeared at the end of the road and is driving slowly towards the house.
From Foxtrot Control, all units monitor. OP1 has control of it.
Suspect has appeared and is driving slowly past the front of the house.
And turning into the side lane.
Suspect vehicle now at the rear of the house. Has just sounded his horn twice. Suspect vehicle's now reached the end of the road again and is now driving down towards the house. Suspect vehicle has stopped.
Suspect is now getting out of the car and looking up and down the street.
Suspect is approaching the front gate.
And walking towards the front door. Front door is opening, suspect's coming in.
Armed police, stand still! Do everything I tell you and you will not be harmed. Put your hands in the air. Do it now. Stand still! You just keep looking at me. You won't be harmed. Drop down onto your knees. Do it now. Now drop down onto the floor. And spread your hands and legs. You keep looking at me. You keep looking at me. Somebody's going to come up from behind you and handcuff you. I want you to put your right hand, that's your right hand, in the small of your back, and do it now. Keep looking at me. Keep looking at me. Right, your left hand. Put your left hand in the small of your back, now. Keep looking at me. You look at me. Look at me. Me. Okay, it's clear.
All right, Steve. We're police officers from Hampshire. I'm DC Morris, DIU.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of armed robberies. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand? Do you understand, Steve? Come on.
Okay.